Managing the Pandemic, an occasional series brought to you by the Dorothea Green Lecture Series at Florida International University's Stephen J. Green School of International and Public Affairs. I'm David J. Kramer, Senior Fellow at the Green School at FIU in Miami, and welcome and thanks for joining us. Today's session is part of a series of virtual seminars looking at how various countries around the world are handling the pandemic. Today's session features Taiwan, and joining us to discuss the situation there is David K.C. Chien, Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office here in Miami. David, thanks so much for joining us. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So let's jump right in. We're thrilled to have you. And Taiwan has really stood out as one of the countries, while it's early to reach any conclusions, but one of the countries that seems to have been handling this pandemic as well as one could. For a country of 24 million people almost, and given your proximity to the mainland, you've had a very low infection rate, it seems, so far. What is the status of the epidemic in Taiwan?
Yes. Since COVID-19 began to spread out this January in China, some medical experts predicted, due to the geographic proximity to the mainland China, that Taiwan would be the country which has the most infected cases beside China. However, thanks to the government's early and correct measures, as of today, it's April 30th, there are 429 confirmed COVID-19 cases, which 322 of those already recovered in Taiwan, with the population of 23.5 million. Most of the confirmed cases came from abroad, are imported. In order to prevent the epidemic, people in Taiwan respect the guidelines made by the government or to wear masks and keep social distance. So we didn't lock down the city, and the schools are still open, and the business keep operating. People can still go to coffee shop, beauty salon, pubs, and restaurants, but temperature checks are required at the entry of every shop and the mass transportation station. Now in Taiwan, we also have the only professional baseball game in the world. We dubbed the game into English and broadcasted internationally. Yeah, thank you.
And can you also walk through with us additional steps your government has taken? I understand that you developed a very elaborate database and a surveillance and monitoring system. In some countries, there is concern about the use of surveillance, but it seems that in the case of Taiwan, it's been rather successful in maintaining control over the spread of the virus.
Yes, Taiwan's containment of the large-scale spread of COVID-19 lies in the following 3 Ps, which are precaution, prevention, and preparation. The first one, precaution. As early as December last year, a Taiwan medical doctor discovered a message of the outbreak of unknown pneumonia in China's Wuhan area on social media, and we immediately contacted the Chinese authority. At the very beginning, China responded that the unknown pneumonia is neither SARS nor MERS. It cannot be transmitted from person to person, and it is preventable and controllable. However, we were skeptical about China's statement. So we immediately activated the epidemic prevention mechanism. Now, Taiwan is regarded as the first country in the world to respond to COVID-19 pandemic and identify the crisis. The second, prevention. After recognizing the crisis, we started inspect and quarantine passengers that took direct flight from Wuhan, China immediately. Taiwan also established a contingency team and a command center to hold the daily press conference to brief the epidemic status openly and transparently. The Minister of Health and Welfare as the Epidemic Prevention Commander General, who is authorized to carry on all the related measures. In order to prevent the coronavirus from entering to Taiwan, we adopted active border quarantine measures at the airport through gradually restricting the entry of Chinese, Hong Kong's, and Macau's flights. And to these days, we are temporarily closing borders to all foreign visitors. There is also one thing I have to point out. These epidemic prevention measures cannot be completed by the Ministry of Health alone. The command center is upgraded to the cabinet level unit. So it is able to integrate resources from various ministries and agencies in the government. Therefore, cross-ministry, cross-agencies collaboration and cooperation is very extremely important for epidemic prevention. The third, preparation. Taiwan is an island country. Foreign trade and tourism account for most of our economic development. So Taiwan needs to do more preparation to curb the spread of the communicable diseases than other countries. In the past 6 years and more, Taiwan has overcome outbreaks of cholera, malaria, tuberculosis, SARS, and other communicable diseases, accumulating considerable experience and establishing an extensive disease prevention mechanism. This includes digitized disease monitoring systems, stringent borders quarantine, extensive community-based countermeasures, advanced medical preparedness, and abundant stockpile of preventive medical resources. Once the epidemic disease occurs, Taiwan's central and the local government always coordinate with the private sectors to jointly curb its spread. In addition, most Taiwanese people experienced hardship and interruption during the SARS outbreak in 2003. It made them stay alert from the very beginning of the epidemic and are willing to respect the government's guidelines and work together. It also helps to foster a sense of community, which is essential in limit the spread of the pandemic.
So, David, it sounds like your government's approach has been very effective, not just in this pandemic, which I think is unlike any we've seen before in recent memory, but in past ones as well. But give us a sense of how the population has responded both to the pandemic, the sense of crisis, the concern, but also the government's handling of it.
Yes. The people of Taiwan are very satisfied with the government's performance in COVID pandemic prevention. The government gains public trust with early and correct action, and the transparent information, and continue to provide clear and decisive guidelines. The satisfaction rate, according to the poll, reaches 85.6%. And the people believe that Taiwan is now the safest place for public health in the world. Taiwan has a 99.9% universal health insurance coverage rate. And this state-run health insurance system has been evaluated as the world's best one by the Global Health Care Index. In Taiwan, people are not afraid to go to the hospital once they exhibit symptoms and suspect they contracted the coronavirus. People don't need to worry about that they cannot afford the medical treatment if they are confirmed being infected. Yeah.
And not just for Taiwan, but everywhere around the world, the pandemic has inflicted a toll in terms of public health, but the response to it has also imposed a toll in economic matters. In the United States now, the unemployment has just reached a figure approaching 30 million, which is a staggering number. Give us a sense of the economic impact on Taiwan, if you would.
Yes, you are right. The impact caused by COVID-19 on global economy and the Taiwan economy is indeed devastating. COVID-19 has severely disrupted the global trade, tourism, air transportation, and the cruise business. The losses suffered by the global economy are incalculable. I know that most countries have adopted severe measures such as lock down the cities or even the whole country to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. This had led to a sharp drop in people's demand and the global economy. And the global economy has nearly shut down. Taiwan's economy is also affected very much by sluggish global demand. And we originally did expect Taiwan is bound to suffer. However, because of the Taiwan government has launched the effective pandemic prevention measures and a number of revival and relief programs, such as tax deduction and favorable loan and the relief fund to help people and the industry overcome the difficulties. The impact of pandemic on Taiwan's overall economy is a relative minor. In addition, demand for high-end semiconductors is still strong. And the recent financial market performance in Taiwan has also been relatively stable. According to the latest prediction made by the Taiwan Institute of Economic Research, Taiwan's economic growth rate in the year 2020 won't be too much lower than our original forecast. Of course, the growth will also be determined based on the effective control of the pandemic in various countries and the monetary easing policies of major economies and the trend of international energy and the raw material prices.
As you know, David, there are many who are worried that there will be a second wave of the pandemic, whether in the fall or in the winter. What are the next steps for your country in dealing with the pandemic?
Oh, yes. Indeed, I do believe that Taiwan has made great efforts in containing the large-scale spread of COVID-19. So in the future, we will not only continue to implement the existing counter-pandemic measures, as I mentioned above, but also collaborate with the international community to jointly curb the virus spread. Taiwan has started collaboration with the United States and the European countries to develop and produce vaccines, medicines against the virus. In medical equipment provision, Taiwan has also transformed itself from an importer to the world's second largest producer of face masks. Therefore, this month, Taiwan has totally donated over 10 million face masks to European countries like Italy, Spain, Germany, France, and the United States, where the COVID-19 outbreak is particularly severe. Also, 100,000 of them were donated to Florida on April 10th by my office. Besides, Taiwan is willing and able to work side by side with the international community and contribute even more to fight against the COVID-19 and other pandemics. Since Taiwan is lauded internationally for handling of the outbreak of COVID-19, we think it should be Taiwan should be included in the related meeting and the mechanism in World Health Organization to share the experience and the efforts with the international community. We believe that Taiwan's inclusion in the global disease prevention network would benefit many countries and help make WHO disease prevention efforts much more effective. The absence of Taiwan in the world health system will cause a gap in the epidemic prevention. So we don't want to see that.
And
thank you.
First, let me just say thanks for Taiwan's contributions of the masks on behalf of my fellow Floridians, David, for that. We greatly appreciate it. You did touch on the WHO, the World Health Organization, and let me ask the final question about that. I think many people would be surprised that Taiwan does not have a seat at the table of the WHO. Could you maybe just describe a little bit of the background there, and you expressed hope that Taiwan would be included in the future?
Yes, actually, Taiwan, has made a lot of efforts in the public health fields. Taiwan has the independent and well-established medical and public health system. And its efforts of successfully combating the COVID-19 pandemic this time has really won the international recognition and lauded by the global community. All the people in Taiwan will continue their efforts and continue to strive to participate in WHO-related meetings, especially since the end, since 2017, Taiwan was expelled. Already, the observer status in WHO, WHA is a World Health Assembly. So our striving to participate in WHO-related meetings, mechanism, and activity, it's our goal. And we also hope that they will protect the health, to participate in the World Health Organization system, will protect the health and the well-being of 23.5 million people in Taiwan. And the most important, we hope that through this mechanism, through WHO's meeting, we could share our successful experience of the Taiwan model, with the world. Yeah, thank you.
David, thank you so much. Joining us today has been David Chen, Director General of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office based here in Miami, offering us the perspective of what's been happening in terms of managing the pandemic in Taiwan. David, we're very grateful to you for joining us, sharing your perspective, your country's perspective on this, and look forward to continue to engage with you. It's been a pleasure. This has been Managing the Pandemic, an occasional series brought to you by the Dorothea Green Lecture Series at Florida International University's Stephen J. Green School of International and Public Affairs. I'm David Kramer. Thanks very much for joining us. And David, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. My pleasure. Yeah, thanks a lot.